You are Locked On Cowboys POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Dallas, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And unfortunately, what ended up being a lost season for the Cowboys ends up with a final loss today at home against the Commanders. Here we go. Welcome in and welcome to the Cowboys POSTCAST. Not only your team every day, but in our case, your team every game. That is the coach, Glenn Stretch Smith. My name is Jeff Biggs. Thanks for being with us on this Sunday. And thank you, as always, for watching Locked On Sports Dallas, your destination after every single game. You can also find us on the Locked On Cowboys podcast feed as well. And also a reminder that LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions do apply. And coming up on our final episode, at least for the Cowboys, the coach and I will be back after the Longhorns play in the Cotton Bowl on Friday night against looking forward to that game against Ohio State. But today we're going to talk about the Dallas defense almost getting it done again to lead the Cowboys to a victory in their season finale. We'll talk about Trey Lance and his start. Finally, we got a chance to take a look at Trey Lance in the fire, as you would say, Coach. And, of course, we'll get into the future of Mike McCarthy, although I kind of feel like that future is not really not as big of a topic as maybe a lot of people want to make it to be or think it's going to be when they talk about it tomorrow morning. We'll see. We'll get into all that. But, Coach, great to be with you. Let's get into this game. Glenn Stretch Smith, final game, 130th meeting all time between the Cowboys and the club from Washington. Great start to the game today. Micah Parsons, 2 sacks on the opening drive, putting him in elite company for Micah, just the 4th player with 10 plus sacks in his first 4 seasons. That's a special group. The Cowboys led 3-0 after the first quarter. So the defense, they set the tone. We were kind of wondering, were we going to see Trey Lance get the start at quarterback? And finally, the Cowboys were able to score late in the game, but that 0 for 5 in the red zone really took its toll. And, you know, the one thing, too, that just strikes me is Deron Bland just completely blankets and takes Terry McLaurin out of the entire game. And it's just amazing how things can change just in one drive, how a player like McLaurin can step up and even, you know, Deron Bland played hard, just got beat, but one play can kind of flip that thing around in a heartbeat.
Well, yeah, you know, I go to the start of the football game. I mean, Dallas was moving the football. They had over 150 yards rushing in the game. I thought they offensively really did some good things. I thought offensive line-wise, I thought you saw an offensive line with Cooper Beebe and Trevor Hoffman, and those guys were playing pretty well up front against a good Washington defense. Make no mistake about it. This is a good Washington team, and I thought Lance did some good things early in the football game. Now, it's like anything else. The only way you're going to get better at playing that position is to be in the speed of the game. And yes, he missed a throw, short-armed the throw down there in the end zone where he had Dowdle wide open. He spins it on first down from the 10. He spins it about 8 yards out. And guess what? He tried to put some air under that football. When you're playing the speed of the game like you're playing now, the nose of that football has to be driven into that back corner. And the only way we could sit and throw that 50 times in practice, we could throw it 100 times in one-on-one. We could even do it in the preseason some. Unless you're playing in the real speed of the game, that's the only way to get that experience. And so I think there's a couple of ways to look at this. I thought Trey Lance played better as a quarterback than maybe what I've given him credit for. Did he miss some throws today? Absolutely. But he made some throws too. And so to me, then you kind of say, okay, is the 2-year investment and what we've given with Trey Lance as far as the Dallas Cowboys, is it been worth the time to continue to work on his feet, continue to work on his delivery, continue to work with his eyes? And you have to say after a game like today that, yes, that's been an investment that's been worth the time that they've put into it, because I do think now you see he can be a serviceable backup quarterback to Dak Prescott. I think he gives you a little bit more than Cooper Rush gives you, just because of the ability to keep plays alive with his legs. Cooper Rush does not have that. And so I think the upside with what I saw today from Trey Lance is there. I think the upside with what you saw today continues to be upside with Rico Dowdle. I thought you saw upside with Deuce Vaughn. I thought you saw upside with Ryan Flournoy. So I'm going to continue to say that, what I liked about what the Cowboys did today was put all of those guys in the fire. You talked about defensively. I mean, Micah had 10.5 sacks his last 9 games. Unbelievable. Now, is he going to take the next step to go be the leader on this defense? I thought you saw Maris Leofau get pressed into action because Overshown was hurt. Did he take a bad angle on that last zone read where Mariota pulled it and went out the back door? Absolutely he did. You're not going to get any better at that unless you're playing the game at the speed of the game. And I believe he takes that and takes that coaching and is able to move forward with that. So you put all of those things and you got to put them into what did we get out of a heartbreaking loss that, quite frankly, I think epitomized the season for the Cowboys, which was, close in a lot of scenarios, but came up short. But at the end of the day, you got a lot of players, a lot of young players, a lot of playing time. I thought you saw Mozzie Smith grow up the second half of the season. I thought Chauncey Golston, you got things out of guys that didn't think you were going to get things out of. So I want to start by saying, hey, that's the positive side of it. Now, the negative side is, you lose too many games at home. It took you forever to get the defense corrected. It took you forever to start to run the football. Mike McCarthy, it feels like a lot of times that he's a pass-first guy, and I don't think you have a pass-first quarterback, whether that's Trey Lance or Dak Prescott. So
I agree.
Long answer, Jeff, but I mean, I think if you look at it as a whole, you got to think that what you saw today out of a handful of guys was a positive and gives you an ability to move forward.
All right, I got a few things I want to throw at you. Let me ask you this about Trey Lance, because I feel like after what we saw today, I think an obvious question comes to mind, and that is, well, why didn't the Cowboys maybe play Lance a little bit sooner? They gave Cooper Rush 8 games, and they let Lance play this finale. Both quarterbacks, Coach, are free agents now. Both are on the end of their contracts. So I'm asking you to put on your coach organization hat. Do you read anything into the fact that they waited to start Lance until this finale? And does it tell you anything either way about either guy, about what they might plan for the offseason for the future?
I think that at the end of the day, Cooper Rush at the start of the season and the midway point of the season was the better backup quarterback and gave you a better chance to win meaningful football games. Which means Dallas until a week ago was, you can say on the outside looking in, whatever the case may be, they were still.
They did win 4 or 5 though. Yeah.
Correct. And they still had an opportunity to get into the dance. And when they didn't get into the dance, they turned the page. Do I necessarily agree with that? If I'm the head coach, I have to continue to try to play to win. I've heard all kinds of people say, we'll tank for the number 1 pick. We'll tank for this. You can't do that. You can't send that message to your football team, nor can you, in theory, play that way. But what you can do, and what I do think the Cowboys did make a correct choice in doing, was put these young guys in there, get Turpin extensive playing time at receiver. He got some playing time at running back. You got a lot of different things that you can do with Soonmaker. They had Span Ford, the third tight end, get some playing time. So I do think that they tried to use all of those things. And then on defense, just from an attrition standpoint, because corners were getting hurt. Diggs and Bland, I think, played together out of the 17 games. I want to say 2 games together.
Yeah, right.
And so, when you lose Sam Williams, you got Nealon back. You lost him early. You lost Lawrence. I mean, there was a lot of things that I thought piled on. And then Overshown, who was really really bright spot defensively, tears his knee up. And so then Leofau is pressed into duty and does a good job. So I think all of those things are there. But to answer your question about Trey Lance or Cooper Rush was the better 2. He is the better functional quarterback that could run your offense and could get you in position to win. Today, it didn't matter if you won or not. It didn't matter. Does it help going into the offseason? Hell yeah, it helps. You'd like to have won that football game today. So I'm just saying, thinking about the positives, yes. Is Trey Lance a better quarterback than Cooper Rush? No, not where they sit today. But when you look at a season, and this was something that I was taught really early when I got in the National Football League, and there was a guy named Mike Giddings, and he graded everybody in the National Football League. That's what he did. But he always finished his grade with either a flat line and an arrow going down or an arrow going up. And in my mind, you want to keep the arrow going up with all of your young players. You want to be able to see where is the ascending process of those young guys. And if you're just taking a one-game set, because guess what? This was a real game today. Washington was playing their starters, and you put the film on and you go grade the film and you say, at the ending day, whatever your grade is, did you feel like he was ascending or descending? And in my mind, you look at Flournoy, ascending. You look at Deuce Vaughn, ascending. You look at Trey Lance, ascending. So those are good things in what you have to point to offensively. Is he better than Cooper Rush today? No, he's not, and we know that.
All right. Take our first time out, Coach. When we come back, I want to talk about the running game a little bit. We are going to talk about Mike McCarthy and his future coming up, but I want to talk to you specifically about a couple of things that we saw today, including giving you some props for something that you mentioned several weeks ago. We'll do that when we come back. This is the Cowboys postcast. Cowboys fall in their finale at home today to the Commanders by the final of 23-19, 7-10, the final record for Dallas, and now what figures to be a busy and eventful offseason will get underway. All right. Growing your small business in 2025 comes down to how well you can hire. And let's face it, better hires start with smarter insights. That's where LinkedIn comes in. With the strongest hiring data available, LinkedIn helps you identify the right candidates, giving you the confidence to make the best decisions for your business. I've seen and learned and know a lot about LinkedIn jobs myself, and I can tell you it is a game changer when it comes to hiring the right fit. Small businesses are wearing a lot of hats, so every hire is crucial. LinkedIn gets that. That's why they connect with the best candidates. They connect you with the best candidates, and using data you won't find anywhere else, from unique skills and interests to the connections you share. LinkedIn helps you find the right person for the job. In fact, 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn has helped them find high quality candidates. Now, I know how important it is to make the right hiring decisions. We know that. And having access to insights like what skills candidates have or how they've connected to your network, that helps you feel confident when you pull the trigger and make that hire. Hire smarter this year and find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. And let me ask you this. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That's definitely happened. And Rocket Money makes it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscription savings. And that saves members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. I think one of the best features is the subscription tracker. You can cancel services you're not using anymore. You can save a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, you can automatically set aside money for more for your future with no more stressing out about budgeting every month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, welcome back to the Cowboys Postcast. I'm Jeff Biggs. That is the coach, Glenn Stretch Smith. Thanks for being with us after the Cowboys lose the final game of their long season by the final of 23-19 to the Commanders. Coach, before I get into the running backs, really quick, a tight ends question for you. Kind of felt for Jake Ferguson today. Kind of a tough day. The couple of penalties, the tough call in the end zone where he almost had that touchdown catch, but he was feeling it. The coach was not happy with him, and just one of those days. You hate to see a guy go into who's such a big part of the team in the season that way and go into the offseason with that kind of performance. I felt for him.
No, and that's the other thing. I mean, today you're catching balls from the third string quarterback. Haven't caught a lot of footballs from him. The ball's high in the flat one time. He can't pull it down. So when you are trying to put yourself in that position to play flawless football and you drop a ball here, you jump off sides there, then it becomes a very, very frustrating scenario for you. You start pressing. You start trying to make plays. They threw a tight end screen one time for a 15-yard loss, and he's kind of fumbling around trying to catch the football. He catches it off of his hip, then gets splattered. So it's a frustrating game. You know, if I'm in that position, I'm telling him, Bud, take your right pinky finger and go to the top of the keyboard and hit that delete key. We got to move forward here. It is the next play. I got to have you dial in for the next play. And it just felt like, you know, those mistakes started compounding, and then he started pressing. And so all of those things you grow from, and you say, well, he's a veteran player, and he is, but he gets frustrated just like everybody else does. And I'm sure, frustrated about not only how the season went, but how he played through that season. And you know, he was injured one or two times. Just a frustrating year. And that's where you got to, you know, as a professional, now you got to be able to push back, and then you got to be able to go and take a hard look at it, take a hard look at your cut-ups. Where are we going to go from here? How are we going to get better? What are we going to do to attack this 25 season? And all of that gets started, you know. I'm sure these guys will take a few days off, push back from it a little bit, and then you know you got to get yourself started. It's a year-round business, and everybody knows that.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I want to give you props. You said this at least a month ago, probably longer than that. Hey, when are we going to get a look at Deuce Vaughn? When are we going to get? I mean, you might as well get him and let him try to add to the offense. And we got a little bit of a snippet today on one drive, and he looked good. It was good to see him out there.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. He's an undersized guy that, he really is. He has to be put in the right situations. But he did. What impressed me more than how he carried the football was he got in pass protection a couple of times and he threw his body around. As little as he is, hey, when that big linebacker steps up in there, hey, you go put your helmet on his upfield knee and cut the crap out of him. And he did that a couple of times. And so that's what's impressive to me. But yeah, I wanted to see that. They tried to get him the ball in the screen one time, and it just didn't. It doesn't always work out. The other team, they have guys on scholarship too. They pay players too. They pay coaches too. And so not always is it the best of scenarios to put. His shiftiness and the fact that he is so little, he got lost a couple times behind the offensive line. You don't know where he is, and then boom, he spits out the B gap. And so, I think those are all things that you move forward into next year, and hey, he's a good third down back. We can use him in that situation, and we know we're going to have Dowdle back. We know we're probably going to have Deuce Vaughn back now. They let Zeke go see if he could find himself a home for the playoffs. Now you got to go get yourself another front line back and know that you got some pretty good guys right there behind him in case something does happen.
Yeah, and you took my point, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Rico Dowdle today, 22 carries, 72 yards. Nice to see him get back into the end zone, but I'm with you. Even with those two, with Zeke on, for sure, I think that's right up there on the list for the Cowboys for the offseason is to get another number one back to help complement that offense. And then when, kind of getting back to the reason why I was kind of asking about the quarterback is with Lance and Cooper technically unrestricted free agents, the narrative is going to be, well, look at what the Cowboys gave up for Trey Lance, and now they're going to let him walk because I'm sure somebody's going to pick him up, right? Especially if they do keep Cooper Rush. But I don't see them bringing both quarterbacks back. And to your point, I think they give it a shot, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't believe Cooper Rush comes back. I think Cooper Rush, they know what he is. They know now they did everything they could to get Trey Lance in the right position, and now it's a money deal. I mean, if you could get him for the right dollars, you pay him. If you can't, then you brought Will Grier back. Will Grier's a smart guy. Yep. What's in the draft? Who gets cut? There'll be guys available out there, and so that's what you have to do. Is you have to give yourself a chance to evaluate everything that you have on your roster, and believe it or not, as painful as the season was, you got a pretty good look, and now you know that, hey, Ryan Flournoy's got a chance to play, the kid out of Southeast Missouri. You got something with him. Now, you're going to say a fourth-round pick? I'd have given up a fourth-round pick to take and be able to understand the look that you got of Trey Lance being in your building for 2 years, having him around, knowing can't he do. The fourth-round pick, would I like to have that fourth-round pick this year? Yeah, I would, because you got a lot of holes to fill. But at the end of the day, you give up a fourth-round pick to a team that mortgaged everything they had with 2 first-rounders to move up and go get him. So I think when you look at it from a 30,000-foot overview, you see why, and you see exactly why Kyle Shanahan gave up on him, because he's not – he's got to get more accurate with the football. And so we saw it today. And now might somebody bring him in that's, that they can put him in the 2 and let him continue to develop and do all – sure. And I'm saying, that could be the Cowboys, but it's got to be for the right it's got to be the right money. You can't pay him a whole lot. And if he wants to come in here and do that, good. And if he wants to go chase the money, good for you. That's what you should do.
Yeah. All right. Coach, we'll have one more final segment. We'll get our final thoughts. We'll talk about, want to get your thoughts on what you think is going to happen with Mike McCarthy either way, and just kind of look ahead to maybe what the mindset or what we can take away from this 7-10 season and what we can look forward to 2025 here in the new year. That's coming up in our final segment of the Cowboys Postcast. All right, from big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. Visit the website and share betting lines around your team or league. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Coach, Glenn Stretch Smith. I am Jeff Biggs. Happy you're with us. Cowboys lose their finale 23-19 to the Commanders, who played their offensive starters for the first half and then put the backups in the second half and were able to rally and pull out the win today. Of course, the next 24, 48 hours, it's going to be all about Mike McCarthy. Will Jerry bring him back? Will he sign him to another long-term deal? What will that look like? They made a comment during the game broadcast today that when they pressed about it, they were told, quote, that the hay is already in the barn when it comes to the future of Mike McCarthy, Coach. I kind of get the sense that the way that the team kind of rebounded after the season ending to Dak Prescott winning 4 of 5 the way that they did, and really finishing strong on the defensive side of the ball and bringing that group together after their injuries. I get the feeling that that's going to be enough for Jerry to bring Mike back. The question is, can they agree on terms of a deal? Will that include Mike Zimmer coming back? And what does that look like? Those are just kind of my thoughts. I could be completely wrong. I mean, he could fire him tonight, and I could be completely wrong, but that's kind of my sense. How about you?
Well, I believe that Mike McCarthy has an expiring contract, and if Jerry wanted to bring him back or had intentions of bringing him back, he would have signed him to an extension a week or two ago. He would have said, hey, let's sit down and hammer this out. I think he said the hay is in the barn, as in, I've made my decision here. I'm going to let this contract expire. I'm not going to have to fire him. He's got an expiring contract. Allow him to go find himself another job. There are 3 current NFL openings. There could be as many as 6 or 7. There could be as many as 10 NFL jobs out there. He is a Super Bowl winning coach. There will be some. He's won 12 games 3 years in a row before this year with the Cowboys. So there will be he will be in demand. There'll be somebody that would like to have Mike McCarthy. I personally, and I'm not for firing anybody, because guess what? I've had my ass fired, and I know what that's like over there. So I'm not advocating any of it. I'm just, as an analyst, I'm just talking about where the situation is, which is that I do believe that Jerry's going to move on from Mike McCarthy, and how he chooses or who he chooses to move on from Mike McCarthy with is something we'll have to see. Now, I could see a scenario where Jerry may not feel good about any of the guys that maybe he's thinking about replacing McCarthy with, and maybe at the last minute he could say, Mike, let's sit down and see if we can come to an agreement here. Do I think he's going to sign him to some 3 or 4 year contract, even if he were to bring him back? Absolutely not. So I think there are several factors that are in play here. And, of course, the biggest factor is, okay, who do you replace Mike McCarthy with? And I don't believe, having been in that building, I don't believe Jerry wants to go, with the young Madden football whiz kid coach. I think he's more in tune to the guy who's more experienced and more has the savvy and has run an NFL team. Now you're going to say, who is that? Well, is it we're talking about Pete Carroll? We're talking about Mike Vrabel? Or are we talking about, hell, even John Gruden's name's been brought up. I mean, he's a Super Bowl winning coach. Whether you like or dislike, John Gruden's a hell of a football coach. And so I think that there's a lot of different ways that Jerry could go here, and he can say that the hay's in the barn and the decision has been made. But I think when you cut it all back and you peel back the layers of the onion, I think there's multiple things that still could happen here with the head coaching job of the Cowboys, including possibly saying, hey, we can make Mike Zimmer the head coach. He has the experience and has done it in Minnesota.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll leave that for Marcus and Landon to dive into during the week. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do some special Cowboys shows during the offseason, but we'll hold off on that for now. With all that said, let's get back onto the field. When you look at this Cowboys team, both sides of the ball, my gut feeling, Coach, and then I want to get your thoughts, is I think the defense is right there. I think they're pretty set. If you can tweak or add, that would be great. Of course, they got to take care of Micah Parsons and his situation, but the defense is pretty close. And I think offensively, even if, let's just say best case scenario, Dak comes back and he's 100%. I think even just bringing Dak back, they still need some help. The offensive line, to your point, really kind of grew under fire with injuries and everything else, and that's awesome. But I still feel like they need another running back and another receiver, somebody that they need to kind of boost that offense a little bit, I think, if they're going to get to where they want to go.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you sign the quarterback to a 4-year extension at $60 million. He's coming back. You signed the receiver, who's arguably the best, we could argue, top 3-4 receivers in the game, in CeeDee Lamb. You signed him to an extension. He's coming back. Those are the pieces we have right now that we know are coming back. You got a young offensive line that got better. Do you want to do you want to continue to grow that process? Mike Solari is a hell of an offensive line coach, who is the offensive line coach that's here. Do you want to shake all that up and bring another offensive line coach in here who will have another set of what he likes and doesn't like? All those things are yet to be determined. But you're good at tight end. You got a really good frontline receiver. You got a couple of good young guys, Tolbert and Flournoy. You're going to have to go get up Cooks. I don't know what's going to happen with Brandon. Turpin's a good return guy. He's another good, but you need another, what I would consider number 2 big-time receiver, and you need a running back. I think that's what you need offensively. You go to the other side of the ball, you're going to have to. What are you going to do with DeMarcus Lawrence? I don't believe that there's been talk. Well, would you trade Micah Parsons for 2 1s? I think he's a freak. I think that's something that is a pie in the sky scenario. So I think you're going to have to keep him, but I think you need help from a pass rushing standpoint. I think you saw Mozzie Smith continue to develop. I think you need help from a linebacker standpoint. I think you need depth at the linebacker position. And then you got to think about, what are you going to do with Diggs, Bland, Lewis, Hooker, Wilson? Who of those guys are you going to bring back to start? But I think that's the number one, in my mind, the number one position is if you could get that other shutdown corner, or you could get that, you could get that great safety, depending on where you're drafting, it looks like it's going to be somewhere around, 13. I don't know, 12 to 15. 13. Yeah, 13. Okay. You ought to be able to get a starter at 13. And then at 45, I think that's 32 and 13. I think that's 45, the last math I did, Jeff. So, yeah, you ought to be able to get yourself another starter at 45, and then at 77, at 32 more, you ought to be able to find. So that right now, where you sit right now, the number one thing is you got to bat 1,000 in the first 3 rounds of the draft, and that falls on Will McClay and his staff. Now, Will McClay's contract's up, and we'll have to see the direction that they go there. But, yeah, you got 3 picks in the top 100 that you need to hit with, and you need to hit home runs with those.
All right. Well, with all that said, I'm going to give you an opportunity just to share your final thoughts. You know, before the season, the Cowboys, as you know, had 3 12-win seasons, 3 straight playoff runs, but they were not able to get beyond the divisional round. And then this season, with all the injuries, specifically with Dak, they end up at 7-10. So a lot of motivation in the offseason and coming into next season for sure. A lot of work to be done for sure going into next season. But again, the Cowboys are the Cowboys, and they're held to a higher standard. And the goal every year is to not only get to the Super Bowl, but to win it and to end that drought. And that will not change.
No, nothing's going to change with the expectations of this franchise, with what Jerry thinks. And I've heard a lot of people, and you can criticize Jerry and do all those things that you want to do because that's what Cowboys fans do. And you certainly have the right to do that. I think that at the end of the day, you and I were treated like orphans. We didn't get on here about week 12, but we picked it up and took off with it from week 12. Yep. So, hey, well, hopefully they'll give us a chance to bring you and I back. Hell, maybe you and I may get fired. Who knows? Maybe McCarthy get our butts fired tomorrow.
All right. Well, I know we're working Friday night for sure. So until then, we got. But I do hope that I'm looking forward to you and I working together and sharing the process, sharing the season with the great Cowboy fans. But great work by you, Coach. I know you got a lot of other stuff going on. We will talk again on Friday. But thank you for your insight and your wisdom and walking us through everything today, as always.
I appreciate you, appreciate your time, and hopefully we gave them a little passion and brought a little something to this, and that's what it's all about. And you never know where life's journey takes us, never know what God has in store for us tomorrow. But hey, we'll as Cowboys fans, we're gonna wake up tomorrow and the sun's gonna be shining, and we'll turn the page and think about the next time we can get on here and say, what about them Cowboys?
Amen. Well, I look forward to that, Coach. Again, that is the coach, Glenn Stretch Smith. My name is Jeff Biggs. Don't forget, Marcus and Landon, they're going to be with you probably at some point today, but for sure tomorrow. And they're going to be with you every day this week, breaking down all of the Cowboys news and notes on the Locked On Cowboys podcast. So be sure and hang out with them. Give them some love. That they already get that anyway, but just be sure and check that out. I want to thank you for joining us on the Cowboys Postcast. Once again, our final today, the Cowboys lose their regular season finale to Washington 23-19. Let the offseason begin. Enjoy, and we will talk to you down the road.